Hi there, I'm Gloria Makarenko. Now, even with travel restrictions and a race to vaccinate against COVID-19, your neighbors are still finding ways to keep connected. This is Our Vancouver. Coming up, a local crab diver celebrates his Singapore roots. And local digital artists explore ideas of marriage and question cultural norms. But first, why should the kids have all the fun dancing on TikTok? Now, TikTok, it's not just for the kids. There's a group of moms from East Vancouver that's finding an audience and having some fun dancing for the online crowd, too. Carrie Everett and some of the other Housewives of Hip Hop are with us today. Carrie, hello there.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Well, and who have you got with you?
I've got Alexa and Marilla, and yeah, we are the Housewives of Hip Hop.
I love it. So tell me how this all came about. Why did you decide to get together and start to dance?
Yeah, so we all started dancing here at Boogaloo Academy for a variety of reasons. The main one being that our kids came here. So we thought instead of just being the chauffeurs, we would come and have some fun as well. So I actually used to be a dancer. So I danced with the Vancouver Grizzlies extreme dance team. And the guys would dance with us sometimes. And there was this guy, Jarek Heisen, who used to dance with the guys at the Grizzlies. And he started a dance studio, which was Boogaloo. And when I heard about this, I was like, oh, I have to bring my daughter there. So I came here, and my two friends, Alexa and Marilla, were already taking the adult hip hop class that Jarek had started. And I thought, well, this just looks like way too much fun. So we all started taking the class, and we ended up entering some competitions right before COVID started. And we became, Marilla thought up our name, the Housewives of Hip Hop, playing on the Real Housewives franchise.
Oh, I love it. I love the energy. I love the attitude. And this is the kind of thing we need right now. But I mean, this can't be easy. You talk about your own dance background. How did you get your moves together?
Honestly, TikTok is a whole different ballgame, right? Like we've all been doing this hip hop class for a few years, but learning TikTok, we had to, talk to our teens and make sure we were doing this stuff right. It's really a lot more understated. But the thing about TikTok is that when the pandemic hit, like everyone was on TikTok. And so we thought, well, why don't we get on TikTok? Because the platform loves authenticity. And if you just be yourself, people will see that in your TikTok. And so we thought, well, we're not, 40-year-old women trying to be 20, right? We're gonna act our age. We're gonna do our thing, right? So we just been having fun with it. We've made it into like a spoof, right? We've done some kitchen TikToks where we take like a popular trending dance and we'll do it with like our aprons in the kitchen, just making total fun of the whole thing. But yeah, it's definitely a knack, right? Like when we first started, it took us a long time to learn the dances because they're dances mostly that you learn from the TikTok stars. And then you replicate them and you record them, and they're around 15 seconds. And when we started, it used to take us a long time. And then now we're like so fast, we just can blow off like 3 TikToks in a half an hour. So yeah.
Just banging them up. Okay, what about the actual practice space? Where can you do that during COVID?
So obviously during COVID, we've had to really moderate our TikToking. So a lot of times we've been doing it in Alexa's back patio yard alley or in my like garage space. Our studio here at Boogaloo has 2 big garage doors, so we can go outside and go in the alley, which has a bunch of cool graffiti on it. So it's been mostly outside, and we've been maintained our distancing and our bubble here with our three of us. And we've really, it's been something that's been fun for us during the pandemic, a little bit of a release from all of the tension and the tough stuff that we've all run across. I think we've needed this time together where we've gotten together like maybe once a week for the last honestly almost a year, I guess, right guys? Like a year, I think.
Wow.
So,
wow. No,
yeah,
you found a way. You found a way. Okay, so it sounds like you've got this TikTok thing down to a fine science now. What about the kind of reaction you're getting online?
Oh my gosh. So It ranges. Like, there's actually quite a few famous moms on TikTok. Like, Addison Rae's mom, Sherry, is really famous, and Charlie D'Amelio's mom, Heidi, is really famous. So, we've done some duets with them. We actually had one duet go totally viral. We've had 2.7 million views on this duet. So we thought that was just a hoot. Like, we thought that was hilarious. You dress up like the people that you're duetting, and you actually do the same dance, and you mimic their moves. And people just thought it was hilarious. We called it like Addison 25 years later, and Marilla was Addison and I was Sherry the mom, and we just had so much fun with it. So it ranges. Sometimes we don't get very many views, but we don't care, because honestly, we're just having fun.
Well, you mentioned that it all started out because it was your kids who were in the dance class. What kind of reaction do you get from your kids?
So, I actually do TikToks with my daughter as well, because it is kind of a thing, like moms doing TikToks with their kids. I think it ranges. Sometimes they're like really cringy, like, oh my gosh, do not do that one, right? Do not do that one. Do not wear that outfit. They have to give us their tips, right? But mostly they've been really supportive of us, I think. And yeah, because honestly, everyone is on TikTok, big, small, purple, red, like you can do anything. Anything goes.
Anything goes. Okay, I'm going to let you go right now and show us some of your awesomeness. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll do it. Here. Gotta use my handy dandy TikTok stand here. Here. I don't know if you can hear that audio, but there. Ready?
Carrie, that was some fine dancing right there, and I can tell you're all having a lot of fun with it. I'm glad you found a way to stay connected and have some fun during the pandemic too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and we wanted to invite you to come to our drop-in hip-hop adult class every Sunday when this pandemic is over, so you got to come too. Check it out.
I'll try it too. One of the Housewives of Hip Hop. Love it. Thank you again.
Thanks for having us.
Wow. Hey, I'm Dynamite, and you're watching Out of Vancouver. What's going on, Vancouver? What?
All right, this is time for one of our favorite features. This is where we get to showcase some of your photographs. Let's start with this one. Renee Warren was up early and in a beautiful place for this one, in a kayak on Indian Arm towards Belcara, just as the sun was coming up. Wow, Renee, thank you so much for taking us with you. And Sarush Moshtabai watched the sun set from the bridge on number 2 Road in Richmond. Lovely image. Thank you so much for sharing that one. And finally, before the blossoms fall, here is Emma Tynan's view on 37th Avenue in Vancouver. It has been a spectacular year for blossoms, that is for sure. Emma, thank you so much for sharing. And do send us more. Get out there with your cameras and email your favorite shots to us. It's easy. Just email bcphotos@cbc.ca. bcphotos@cbc.ca. Now, an American billionaire owns the huge Douglas Lake Cattle Ranch near Merritt, and he has recently won the right to cut off public access to 2 BC lakes near his property. So as you can imagine, neighbors are outraged. Briar Stewart takes us there.
This muddy road cuts through BC's Nicola Valley. It might not look like much, but a section of it has been part of a decades-long battle because of where it leads and who owns what's around it.
We're just trying to make a living raising beef.
And it's an understatement to say that the Douglas Lake Cattle Company is succeeding at that. It's Canada's largest private ranch. It was first founded in 1884, but the cowboy way of life still very present today.
We've got 200,000 acres about of deeded land, private, But we're not in the land business and we're not in the development business. We're in the cattle business. And so protecting that land is number one.
Protecting, Joe Gardner says, from people trespassing and destroying the grasslands. The ranch has been embroiled in a court battle over two lakes, Minnie and Stony. It owns all the land bordering them, but not the lakes themselves. They're Crown assets, but BC's Court of Appeal has ruled that the general public can access them because that road doesn't actually reach the shorelines. The only way to fish there is by paying to stay in one of the company's lodges and cabins.
The truth is they're trying to take control of these lakes for their own private use.
Rick McGowan and the Nicola Valley Fish and Game Club have been pushing for years to access these lakes and others.
They don't put cheap locks on here. There we go.
They felt vindicated when the BC Supreme Court sided with them and crushed when the appeal court overturned the decision last month.
This is another road that Douglas Lake is locked.
McGowan hoped this would be a precedent-setting case, but has now left the club on the verge of bankruptcy. Many have framed the legal fight as a David and Goliath battle. Douglas Lake Cattle Company is owned by American billionaire Stan Kroenke, whose portfolio includes some of the world's most profitable sports teams, the Los Angeles Rams, Denver Nuggets, Colorado Avalanche, and the Arsenal Football Club.
And the guy has $8 or $9 billion. This is like a hobby to him. And to us, people like us, we retire in this country, and all we want to do is go recreate and go put our little boat in the lake and go fishing.
Back on the ranch, Gardner insists money has nothing to do with it.
It's either private or it isn't. Doesn't matter whether it's your last dime if you want to protect your land.
While this case is perhaps the most high-profile example of public access pitted against private rights, it's become an issue throughout the province.
The fact that you have a scenario where there's a public lake that the public can't access, what does it say about the rules as they are?
I mean, I think it points to a long-standing gap in British Columbia and Canadian legislation that we now need to reconcile increasingly private right to exclude with the public's right to access.
Deborah Curran is with the Environmental Law Centre at the University of Victoria. She says on Vancouver Island, public access has been a big issue.
Landowners are restricting access more broadly over what we've ever seen before.
There are about 60,000 kilometres of Forest Service roads in the province, and timber companies sometimes use locked gates to block them off, which can make lakes and trails inaccessible. This map shows many gates in the central and southern part of Vancouver Island. All the red ones are currently closed.
So are you allowed to go down this road to access the lakes?
Not anymore.
The only way you can is if the gate is opened or you apply and are granted permission. Kim Hill is an avid fly fisher who likes the backcountry for its quiet, pristine lakes. But today she's in a park
There's no way to get in there.
because she can't drive to some of the more remote lakes, which she says is unfair.
Our Canadian birthright to have ability to go and enjoy the wilderness, and not have to jump through piles of hoops or beg for the keys for the gate.
The issues on the island are just another example of where individuals and groups have raised concerns about not being able to reach public areas for recreation. Curran says the province hasn't been pressured to act, but she thinks that will change.
These groups will get together and there will be a provincial lobby to address it, much like it has been addressed in many other countries.
Like the UK and Sweden, which has adopted what's called right to roam. The latter allows people to bike, camp, and even pick berries on private land. In BC, the government says it's reviewing the court case involving the two lakes and could make changes to give people more access to public property. Even though the battle over the lakes has created friction, there is one thing both sides agree on. They don't think right to roam is right for BC.
I think they should leave it alone, with private property being such a small percentage of the province.
We are not supporting crossing private property. We're supporting open public roads to public places.
In other words, McGowan and the rest of the club aren't looking to pry open the entire province, just pathways to what's already considered public, but out of reach for most. Briar Stewart, CBC News, near Merritt, BC.
Coming up, a burst in electromagnetic activity has given us spectacular northern lights recently. Johanna Wagstaffe's going to explain how the sun's burps are responsible.
There's nothing quite like seeing the night skies above you dance with magnificent greens and purples. Whether they're still on your bucket list or you've had an incredible experience firsthand, Canadians have a love affair with the Aurora Borealis. You're looking at pictures from mid-April when the skies across parts of Western Canada were treated to a show, with images captured from Edmonton to Vancouver and up to Whitehorse. All thanks to a belch from the sun called a coronal mass ejection. CMEs, as they're referred to, are large expulsions of plasma from the sun's corona. That's the outermost part of the sun's atmosphere. These sun burps, as they've been called, can eject billions of tons of coronal material outwards at speeds ranging from 250 kilometers per second to 3,000. That means that some of these can reach our planet in as little as 15 to 18 hours. Now, these types of CMEs usually take place from areas in the sun with localized fields of strong and stressed magnetic flux, sunspots, aka cooler regions on the sun's surface. As this charged material meets the Earth's magnetic field, much of it is blocked by our magnetic sphere. Without it, by the way, the solar wind would blow away Earth's fragile atmosphere. But during CMEs, some of the ions become briefly trapped in sort of a ring-shaped holding area in the region of our atmosphere called the ionosphere, centered around the Earth's geomagnetic poles. Here, the ions of the solar wind collide with atoms of oxygen and nitrogen from the Earth's atmosphere. The energy released during these collisions causes a colorful glowing halo around the poles. When Earth's magnetic field is disrupted, we call this event a geomagnetic storm. And while scientists can't predict exactly when a storm will occur, we know when the sun is going through a busy or a quiet period. P.S. We're in a busy period for about the next decade. And it is possible to predict when a CME will sweep past Earth's magnetic field, creating the conditions that cause storms and that could even disrupt technology. We are learning more and more about the sun's interaction with Earth every day. So stay tuned for the day aurora forecasts become as good as a 3-day forecast. Don't at me. Actually, please do. Because now you're science smart. And if you have a science question on your mind, send me a tweet and I'll try to get it answered.
Johanna, thanks very much. You are watching Our Vancouver. Now, this region is home to amazing, cutting-edge digital artists. Every year, the Cinevolution Media Arts Society hosts Digital Carnival Z, and it runs until June 5th with some in-person shows, a lot of online components as well. Well, Nancy Lee and Kiran Bhumber have been setting up their Union exhibit at the Richmond Art Gallery. Hello, you two.
Hi.
So good to see you. So Nancy, what is Union all about?
So Union is a dystopian science fiction exhibition that is set in year 3000, where Kiran and I get married in the dystopian future to uncover our ancestral memories, because in year 3000, the world has undergone a cyber warfare and air apocalypse where humans have lost all of our digital data and burned all of our books for fuel. So in this future, we have to practice ritualistic kind of performance through this like wedding ritual to uncover our cultural memory.
Wow. You know, I know you're saying dystopian future, but considering what we've been living through, it doesn't seem so unreal or far-fetched after all. But why is this subject so important for you as you tackle this as an artist?
Well, I think the subject is important because I think, especially as as people of color, I'm Taiwanese and Han Chinese.
And I'm Indo-Canadian. I'm Punjabi, Sikh Punjabi.
It's really important for us to be able to create space and to create space for a narrative where people like us can imagine ourselves participating within our culture and also centering ourselves as the protagonist of our own narrative.
Okay, why don't you take us on a little bit of a tour? We'd love to see what you've got on display.
Sure. The first thing that we have some of these like light boxes here, and these are kind of advertisements that exist within the dystopian world. And these advertisements are meant to lure you and persuade you to go into, to sign up into the cyber world to kind of play this like memory game where you give up your privacy and you sell your memory for currency in order to buy other memories.
Okay, we get it.
Yeah.
And actually, no, that works well. The contrast worked out really well, even with
Okay,
that
yeah,
lighting.
it just takes a bit of time for the light to adjust.
Sure. Where are you taking us next?
Okay, and then we have like a 2-channel film that is currently being played right now. And this is the film that kind of speaks to our narrative, Kiran and our kind of fiction characters, but it's more of like a hybrid piece because we've embedded our own personal experience within the film. And the film is meant to be in dialogue with each other.
And I'd also like to add too that we have a quad 4-speaker setup for the audio for the film. So you will actually hear dialogue between Nancy and I in the film. Okay,
nice. No, I know that's not practical to get a sense of that right
No.
now. And what's that figure in the middle of the room?
So this is a sculpture of us. So it's a sculpture of us embracing each other. And this sculpture is created by Ian Nakamoto in collaboration with us. And this sculpture is meant to symbolize our longing for each other's touch within this dystopian universe where, you know, people are, much like the world we live in today, people are discouraged to interact with each other and only encouraged to interact with each other through the cyber world. So this is kind of a symbol for our longing for each other within the narrative.
That is a stunning piece. What's it made from? It almost looks like real skin.
It's a 3D printed sculpture, but it's painted and finished.
So this is for projection that we have down here. And we have 16 channel speakers all around Nancy. And this room is done in collaboration with Chimeric, Sammy Chen, and audio designer Alexander Zekovich. And in this space, users are invited to participate as someone who is living in the union world. So we're using motion tracking sensors to track our bodies in space. And then we have projections that are being diffused from where we are. And then sound is also moving with us through the 16 channel speakers.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Gorgeous, really special. Now, what do you hope that audiences feel and understand after seeing and experiencing this exhibit?
Well, I think it's really important. I really want to be able to kind of take the audience member into like a different universe, but also, create a story where they can also feel like they can relate. Because especially, we created this story before the pandemic. Actually, we started in 2018, so it's actually really weird how the pandemic happened, and then it's like, oh my God, this like dystopian universe kind of came to life, and we started living within it. So we just wanted to be able to offer an exhibition where we can create presence because, with the last year, it's like just even being around people or being around physical presence is so scarce and rare. That's why we wanted to create a sculpture like this in order for people to feel our presence in the space, even though we aren't able to be there with them.
Yeah, when can we hug again without worrying about passing on any kind of virus, for sure? Now, what does it mean, and maybe we can hear from you, Kiran, what does it mean to be part of this, Digital Carnival Z festival?
Yeah, I mean, we feel so fortunate to be able to make art, especially during a time like this where so many people and so many artists are struggling. And I feel like Digital Carnival and Cinevolution have done an incredible job in supporting us as artists. And, when we talk about this exhibition in the space, we really want, young folk and members of the diaspora and migrants from Richmond and elsewhere to come through and see our exhibition. As as two people belonging from the diaspora too, we have this like longing to be situated and feeling a part of our culture. And so what we want to do with this exhibition is be able to tell a story where we're able to fuse new memories into the future of our respective cultures.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad you found a place and a space for your art and are keeping that creativity going through difficult times.
Thank you so much for having us.
I'm Noel.
And I'm Romeo. And this is our Vancouver.
If you're looking for some safe things to do, Got Craft is hosting a spring pop-up virtual market from now until May 2nd. It features more than 65 makers and small shops from right across Canada. And dance and art blend in the Presentation House Theatre's latest exhibit. You can see the live stream of dancing and also view the online gallery until April 25th. Just go to their website for tickets.
Hey, Grant Lawrence from CBC Music here, and yes, it is that time of year again for the return of CBC Music's Toyota Searchlight. That's our annual hunt for Canada's best undiscovered musical talent, and could that be you or an artist you know that has a really great original song that the country needs to hear, like this one. From Vancouver, that is the amazing Desiree Dawson and her excellent single, Just Fine. Desiree Dawson did just fine in Searchlight back in 2016, winning the whole thing, and that video has now been viewed about 200,000 times and placed in various TV programs. In 2018, the artist making the biggest Searchlight splash was Halifax hip-hop singer-songwriter Aquaculture, an artist who learned how to play guitar while in prison. That's when he decided to turn his life around. 5 years later, Aquaculture won Searchlight and has never looked back.
If I ain't giving them all that I got, everything I gotta be going like that. Before I start breaking the law, bring it back to you. Okay, this one goes out to my family, my rocks and my pebbles. My pet namesay is on my kinfolk vessels. I feel I don't say it enough. I love y'all. If it wasn't for your love and support, it wouldn't work.
A great new song there from our 2018 Searchlight winner. That was Aquaculture from Halifax with Uncle Fester on that track. The submissions period for CBC Music's Toyota Searchlight 2021 is open now. All you have to do is upload your very best original song to YouTube. That's the audio or the video. Then register your song at cbc.ca/searchlight for a chance to win all sorts of great prizes, like your own spot in the Alan Slate Juno Masterclass, 5 days of recording at Studio Bell at the National Music Centre in Calgary, a Toyota prize pack for our winner and 4 runners-up, and a worldwide music distribution deal from industry leader Play MPE, which is exactly what last year's winner, Shawnee Kish, is enjoying right now for this brand new single. That is the newest song from our 2020 Searchlight winner, Shawnee Kish, a Two-Spirit Mohawk singer-songwriter originally from Welland, Ontario. That single came out this month. Sign up and register your best original song now, cbc.ca/searchlight. I'm Grant Lawrence from CBC Music. Good luck, stay safe, and I'll check in with you again soon.
Coming up, giving back to the community as part of Ramadan. Hi, welcome back to Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Makarenko. Now, Ramadan is a month of faith, of prayer, and reflection in the Muslim community. And it's also a time to give back. So across BC, community members have organized food drives for the less fortunate. And as John Hernandez reports, the giving comes at a time when many families need it the most.
A prayer just before sundown outside the Masjid al-Salam Mosque in Burnaby means another day of fasting nears its end. It's 1 week into the Islamic month of Ramadan, usually a time where many people from the community practice their faith together. But for the second year in a row, the pandemic has kept them apart.
The pandemic has impacted a lot of communities, but it has also impacted the Muslim community because of closures and Friday Jumu'ah prayer closures as well.
But leaders aren't letting that get in the way of one of the biggest pillars of Ramadan, giving back. Today, 100 warm meals were handed out at this mosque, an annual 3-day campaign to give relief to those in need.
This is important because, we're continuing the tradition in a different way. We're making a new tradition. And, it's keeping everyone kind of together, even though we can't physically be together, but, emotionally, spiritually.
They are supporting us mentally here. So we are feeling a bit supported by the mankind.
Similar drives have been organized by the community group Ismaili Civic, which is raising money and groceries for food banks across the province.
This is our way to give back in a way that is safe and it's adhering to provincial health guidelines. So it's really an exciting time, actually, for people to be able to feel like they're doing something.
Volunteer Shalina Dilgir says demand is up this year, with many families hit hard by the pandemic.
We've been told the lines are getting longer. People who not necessarily were standing in those lines pre-pandemic, or maybe in the first or second wave, we're now seeing them. And we want to make sure that as a community, we're there to support those food banks.
Trying times that have put indoor religious gatherings off limits. But each meal here, a reminder that the ties that bind still hold strong. John Hernandez, CBC News, Burnaby.
It has been a long 5 years of toxic overdose deaths in this province. The overdoses happen in every corner of BC, in homes and on the streets. Well, a group of bike paramedics on the downtown east side wants to expand its service. And as Liam Britton reports, they say trading 4 wheels for 2 has made them faster when every second counts.
For paramedics responding to illicit drug poisonings, it's a race against time. For the past 4 years, paramedics with Squad 248 have found that race is easier won on bicycles.
I think being on a bike, we can provide faster service sometimes, especially in the downtown east side. It's sometimes hard to navigate, hard to get in. So with bikes, we can get in and out of the alleys a little bit easier.
Squad 1, we're in service and available.
Since 2017, they've been riding about 6 months out of the year.
Good, yourself?
Each 11-hour shift sees them cover about 40 kilometers, toting a 45-kilogram bag. Over a recent 6-month span, they were called to over 350 overdoses. And now, they might expand to a year-round program.
It's just better patient care. It's delivering better medical services. We need to adapt, and I think we need to adapt because the world around us is changing as well.
Good morning. How you doing, boss?
Meta and the other paramedics of 248 Squad ride through the streets, alleys, and parks of Vancouver's downtown east side. They are on the lookout for people in distress, but also get dispatched like a traditional ambulance. Today's first call is a drug toxicity event at Carnegie Community Center at Main and Hastings.
What it was a morphine pill.
A morphine pill, okay. Is it something you've used normally, or no way?
We're doing anywhere between kind of 2 to 6 overdose calls a day. Yeah, it can mean someone walks away and survives the overdose, and we get them to kind of the appropriate care that they need after that. And then there's always the negative outcome, where people just don't survive the outcome.
The patient in this case was saved thanks to bystanders giving him Narcan. 248 Squad checked him out and put him on a traditional ambulance to take him to a clinic.
Best of luck, sir.
Leaving them to patrol the alleys once more.
Clear. Hold up. Hello. Hello? Sir? It's the ambulance checking up on you. You good?
We're good, yeah.
Awesome. You have a good day, sir. No worries to apologize. We just want to make sure you're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Cool.
The day's second call is not drug-related at all. It's a man having a diabetic incident. It's a person they're familiar with, and being on bikes helps build that familiarity.
Hello.
Being on the bike, it's quite low barrier, so we get to build those relationships with people. We get to see the same people over and over again. They get to know us, we get to know them, their stories. We're kind of building those relationships over time.
Toxic illicit drugs have killed more than 7,000 British Columbians since the public health emergency was declared 5 years ago. Multiple groups on the downtown east side are working to stem the tide of these deaths, like the Overdose Prevention Society. Executive Director Sarah Blythe said 248 Squad works with her organization and others to share knowledge and best practices. It's welcome help, but more solutions are needed, like drug decriminalization, safe supply, and better housing and recovery options.
It's not really a humane situation that we remain in this crisis with a lot of the solutions that we have. There's a lot of things that we can actually do. It just needs government bravery at all levels to just get on it and do it.
Meta says he and his team are part of the solution, but they aren't the answer.
How much of a difference do you think you make?
I like to think we've made quite a big difference, judging by the daily gratitude we have from the public and people that we have dealt with. I like to think considerable difference.
Liam Britton, CBC News, Vancouver.
Coming up, diving for dinner. Andrew Chin is a free diver and cook. You are watching Our Vancouver. Hi, I'm Gloria Makarenko. Now, if you love seafood, you're in for a treat. Andrew Chin is a free diver, and he also loves to eat. So in this short film by our CBC Creator Network, Andrew captures and cooks his signature Singaporean chili crab.
So I got into diving about 4 years ago while I was living in Hawaii. So transitioning into diving into Canada was definitely a learning process in itself. My face was frozen and the visibility was horrible. It's a lot more difficult to actually see underwater and find what you're trying to harvest. I wanted to kind of make something from our family's culture, because most of my relatives live in Singapore, and I wanted to do it kind of to explore and relearn my culture in some ways. Singapore is such a melting pot of cultures and people groups and nationalities, and with that, they all bring their cuisines, and chili crab is one of these things that everybody knows is a Singaporean dish. For me, making chili crab, I think, is a way for me to kind of rediscover where I come from and my heritage and my culture. So I reached out to my aunt from Singapore and asked her, how do you make it? With most Singaporean dishes, there's so many different versions and iterations, and everybody has their own take. I wanted to keep it, super simple and not overcomplicated, and really let the ingredients speak for themselves. And you want to get the freshest crab you can, break that down, clean it. You also need your rumpa, which is going to be the paste that is going to be the base of your sauce. And it's made usually with chilies and garlic, shallots and ginger. And people do it different ways. Some people will fry the crab, some people will steam it or braise it. I like to cook the crab in the sauce and just allow everything to get to know each other. And traditionally, you're going to use a mud crab, like a Sri Lankan mud crab. But here in Canada, we're going to be using Dungeness, which is something that's super fresh and available to us locally. I would love to, once it's safe and we're allowed to kind of meet and gather with each other, to make Singaporean chili crab for my relatives who have moved here from Singapore, and to see if it's something that really reminds them of home.
Hockey fans have had it rough, certainly, over these last couple of seasons. The pandemic has had a huge impact on just how games are played and where. And there have been tough times for players in the past as well. In 1992, the NHL suffered a strike just before the playoffs. Well, here's a look back with our reporter, Alan Gar.
The message was clear. Accept this final offer or walk.
The man leading the players' union into its first strike put it simply, and the stern faces of the players on the podium this afternoon gave him good reason to be confident.
The vote results prove the player dissatisfaction with the owner's final offer. That offer was rejected.
It is a strike vote that most union leaders couldn't even hope for. Players who were supposed to face off on the ice tonight now stood shoulder to shoulder. They put aside their dreams of a Stanley Cup victory for the more pedestrian goal, to get a better deal.
So I don't feel very good about being on strike at all.
This will pass, and I think we'll have a better game for it.
We've been prepared for this for over a year now. Bob was really good. He informed us all of the issues. He told us to save our money. So if you haven't saved, you can only blame yourself for it, because we knew this was coming.
Everybody behind you.
Veteran player Brian Trottier reassured his younger colleagues they are just barely men, and they still have their whole careers ahead of them. It didn't take long for team owners to get the message. And this statement from NHL President John Ziegler, read by a spokesperson.
It is with deep regret that I advise that effective 3:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, April 1st, 1992, today, I have declared the 1991-92 NHL season suspended on a day-to-day basis until further notice.
Owners and managers across the country were simply grim.
I really don't think that some of these players understand the full ramifications of what's going to happen.
Hockey in Canada is in danger of becoming extinct as we know it.
By early evening, the Owners' Bargaining Committee was already back in Toronto to meet again with the players. But 4 hours later, it was over for the night.
Until you come to an impasse, which we may be getting close, all of the issues are out there for discussion.
These talks seem to be going nowhere in a hurry. In fact, both sides have now hardened their positions. Members of the Owners' Bargaining Committee say they're still not willing to move, and the Players' Union says that concessions it was willing to make in order to avoid a strike now may no longer be on the table. Alan Gar, CBC News, Toronto.
CBC Vancouver is so lucky to have award-winning photographer Ben Nelms on staff. Here are a few images of the week we had, captured in only the way Ben can. And that's all for our Vancouver for this week. I hope you can join me weekday afternoons on CBC Radio 1 for On the Coast. We'll see you there.